This man, too, has had his life interrupted, derailed by a strange encounter with a bright light in the sky. His name is Fred, and like the others in our story, he suffers from the mysterious malady known as missing time. But unlike them, Fred is not yet convinced that he was abducted. Until now, he has hesitated to explore his missing time because he fears what his hidden memories may reveal.
Unit 5 is clear on Myers Street, en route to Woodstock Hill. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be driving a cab in northeastern Connecticut, I never would have believed it.
Fred is, or was, a comedian, a rising star in the world of comedy, working at the biggest clubs in the Northeast with some of the best in the business.
I'd been doing comedy for several years, and I was working 5 and 6 nights a week. My career was blossoming. I'd been named the funniest comic in Boston a few years before that.
Fred was playing the loser, and it was taking him straight to the top.
One of the best in town. He's one of the kings of comedy.
Headlining all around the country.
He's very funny and soon to be your friend.
Please welcome.
Put your hands together. A nice round of applause for the comedy of
Simply Fred. Simply Fred.
Fred.
I'm getting the impression my gynecologist is ripping me off. There were the good times growing up. You know, my father used to throw me up in the air and run. When I was 15, I quit school and I ran away from home on the advice of my guidance counselor. Never cook bacon in the nude. It'll mess up your whole weekend. Thank you. Good night.
Fred won the week-long comedy riot in 1985, beating 200 other comics, including Jim Carrey.
I was working with lots of people who, you know, their careers blossomed, and, you know, I'd been at it for quite a few years and was ready to make the move into a headliner status. And then this happened, and now I'm here in the quiet corner of Connecticut.
But it's not just Fred's career that's on hold. Since the night of missing time, everything that's happened has taken a toll on his relationship with his fiancée, Nina.
At one point, she made me stop talking about it completely, which was not good for me. I mean, I couldn't... It's something I have to examine, and yet, if I'm forbidden to talk about it, where do I go? What do I do? She's finally agreed that I could examine it.
And examine it he will. Fred is about to dive headlong into the mystery of his missing time. He prays that he makes it back with his sanity intact and his world restored. The clock measures out a moment, then another, and another, and so defines our lives. But what if time jumped, stopped, restarted without warning, without pattern? That's the chaos of the missing time experience. For those who experience it, missing time is more than a mystery. It's a problem, a red warning light on the dashboard of the mind that says something is wrong that cannot be ignored. Whatever went wrong for Jim, Jack, and their friend Charlie, it started on a camping trip in the North Woods.
My twin brother Jack and I and 2 of our friends went on a camping trip and canoe trip to Baxter State Park in northern Maine. It's way up in the middle of the North Woods wilderness. Once you get to Telos Lake, you have to wait for the ranger to come, and he signs you in. We had planned on going trout fishing at this one pond called Smith Pond. And when he saw that that was on our itinerary, he told us that we couldn't go there. But we thought we'd check it out anyway, and because we really did want to go fishing there. And that's basically how we got into trouble in the first place. A couple of nights later, the 4 of us decided to do some fishing out on the lake. So we built this large bonfire to act as a beacon. Otherwise, you can't find your way back. Made the fire, got in our canoe, left the site. We're out in the water just a few minutes. It was very swampy, a lot of sunken trees and roots, a treacherous kind of area. And out there, started fishing. Maybe 20 minutes into this, we weren't out there very long.
I was shining a flashlight down in the water, looking for structure that we might find some fish in. While I was looking down in the water, one of the fellows from the back yelled, "What the hell is that?" When I turned around to see what he was looking at, here at the end of the lake, just over the tops of the trees, was this huge sphere of light. I mean, it was gigantic. It was the size of a two-story house. Not making any sound whatsoever. And it just floated there. We were downwind from it. No humming, no whirring, no whistling, no buzzing, absolutely nothing. At first, we tried to figure out, tried to rationalize, well, what the heck can this thing be? I knew all the things that it wasn't. I knew it was no helicopter. It's not moving like a weather balloon. So this wasn't anything that I, in my military experience, had ever seen or heard of. So we decided, I think Charlie Folt said, well, how about if I signal it with a flashlight, see if it does anything? And we said, yeah, great idea, do that. When I did that, a shaft of light just slammed out of the bottom of it. One instant it's not there, and next it's there. The minute he signals this thing, it starts moving towards us. And I grabbed the canoe paddle, threw the blade of the paddle into the water. I started paddling as hard as I could. I locked my vision on the fire. Jack kept looking back to see where this thing was, and he kept saying, it's gaining on us. At that point, I think there was a kind of panic, and so we just started paddling wildly to get away from it. I could hear the guys behind me paddling with their hands. Water splashing, yelling, "Paddle, Charlie, paddle." It made this strange jump through space. It's gaining on us. It was almost right on top of us, coming out and just enveloping us. It can't do that. Things can't do that. The beam was just about to the back of the canoe. We're not going to outrun this thing. That was the last thing that went through my mind before we found ourselves at the beach.
Whatever it was, they had outrun it, or so they thought.
And so we got out of the canoe and we turned around, and this thing was right in front of us. I mean, it was, just maybe 30, 50 yards tops, hovering right over the water. Then it did a really strange thing again. It seemed to implode, just went shh. It was that quick. And then it would reappear higher up into the sky, real bright again. And it seemed to go higher in the sky. It was gaining elevation in steps like that, until finally it just took off like a bullet. It just went faster than that. I can't express how it was. An instant. It was gone in an instant. We were dumbfounded. We were just standing there wondering what the heck just happened. And we seemed like we were kind of in a state of shock.
Then they discovered hours of time were missing. The first sign of it was the fire.
And when we went back to our campfire, all that was left was embers, which we thought was a little odd because it seemed to us that from the time we left to go fishing to the time we got back after seeing this thing, only 15 or 20 minutes had elapsed. In fact, I was sure of it. It should still be blazing. It should still have flames 4 or 5, 6 feet going up in the air. It was just something we could never really explain. It was a mystery.
A mystery that would come to haunt them.